All right. All right.
So
So,
yeah, so I just posted it on Twitter.
and
Now you're gonna
I put it
bring
on
up
our
the actual the YouTube image, correct?
yeah
When it comes up.
the video.
So so here's some news for everybody that's listening. So I guess when you're going to do this, you're going to download
Yeah, I'm gonna
this,
yeah
send it to me, and then I'll post it.
yeah.
So Jethro has been doing a shit ton of TikToks, right? So he's up to 109 followers, 664 likes,
Oh wait,
and he's got at
do
least.
we want Craig on?
Yeah, we can do. I mean, I could turn Craig on.
Let's turn Craig on too.
All right, let me turn Craig on. Now recording.
Now recording on
Anyway, he's got one video that's got 30,000 likes. Not 30,000 views.
that same one.
Yes. Remember the other night it was like 24? Well, it's up to 30.
Damn it.
He's got another one that's got 13,000, almost 14. And the one we did today has got about 1,500.
Shit. Damn, boy.
He's got a bunch of them on here that's got, here's one of them that's got almost 6,000. We don't have any of them that's lower than 200.
That's funny.
So, everyone he's done.
And the one he has the most on is him just making a bologna sandwich.
Yep. That's all he's doing.
Damn it. That's so funny. What other image did I got on?
He's got all kinds of weird commentary comments. Like he looks like uh, Chum Lee from Pawn Stars.
That's probably why. You think? Because I think that's who it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us now, I know there is an image here that shows the Reverend Pimp Daddy Slim and Kilpon getting ready to play Realm Royale because this is what we did back in the day when we did do Twitch, and I just haven't not changed it because we haven't used Twitch. So
Well, I know what we should do though.
what?
We should stream Among Us.
I'll have to look that up.
Among Us is on stream at $4.99, like $5.12 after taxes, and it is a super fucking simple game, but it is the most fun I think I've had like in a long time because all it is you're these little space guys. They got no arms, just got legs, and you run around. And when a game starts, there's so many people in a server, and there's so many imposters. The imposters sabotage equipment and kill people. And the other people, all they try to do is complete tasks. If they get all the tasks complete, they win. So what happens is, uh, every time somebody is killed, one of the imposters kills somebody, and you come across the body, you can announce it to everybody. And you go into like this little chat thing, and you can talk about like, oh no, the guy in white, he's the one that done it, kind of thing. And I've just been pointing out people. Like there's this guy, this one dude, one girl, her name was Stephanie on there. That was her like name, Stephanie. So I just did Stephanie did it, and she goes, "Why do you say that I did it?" I was like, "Because we're on a video game and you named yourself Stephanie. You did it." It's like, what? Like that's the reason. And they voted, and if they get enough votes, they kill them. They send them out the airlock and kill them.
Shit.
And kill them. And I killed more people as being not an imposter than as an imposter.
That's funny.
And my name on there is I did it.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's so stupid that it's fucking fun.
Why is it not letting me share our thing?
Oh, Ben Shapiro's getting ready to go live.
So is Steven Crowder. I just like Steven Crowder's like pages as us. So
Let's see, Rant Nation's getting ready to go live. I've got a couple of them on here that are like, presidential debate. Let's watch Trump kick the shit out of Biden. Now listen, when I say that, like, let's watch Trump kick the shit out of Biden, this is what I mean by that. Biden has Alzheimer's.
Biden
Okay?
Biden has Alzheimer's. You mean?
Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's. And he can't talk right.
He can't.
He can't. This is why this is going to be a complete and total shit show.
It will be.
Um, unless they have, like, drugged Biden up and he's like doing it. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, we got a couple of minutes before the shoe starts. So, what do you want to talk about? Goodman.
I don't know.
We completed the second chapter of the book.
We did complete the second chapter of the book.
So I think after this we're gonna be working on chapter 3, right?
Yep. Get another chapter knocked out there.
I can't wait till chapter 4 though.
Yeah, chapter 4 will be fun.
I love this meme. It's The Rock. He goes, "I'm endorsing Biden for president." Little girl's like, so that's what they mean by when they say "dumb as The Rock."
I guess you could say he's finally hit rock bottom. Ha!
Zing.
Why didn't it share the Twisted Universe one?
It's the fucking new shit with Facebook.
It's so fucking.
You gotta click the three little dots. What I did was I clicked the three little dots, clicked on edit post, and then was able to write whatever I wanted.
Yeah, I had to do that too. But like, it should have, because it didn't share Twisted Universe's post. It just shared like,
Shared yours.
yeah, like what the fuck, Facebook. I want to talk about this meme I posted on our like page. It's Nancy Pelosi when she was on CNN talking about Trump and shit, and she's got this like very elaborate lipstick, very elaborate like pink eye makeup all over her eyes, and I didn't capture it as good as I wanted to, but when she like at one point she gets excited and her eyebrows shoot up like almost to her hairline, and like the whole eye part, like right there between her eye and her forehead, is pink. And it just reminds you ever like seen these old ladies, like they're in movies and stuff, but you ever see these old ladies in like uh in like these singles bars that hit on like every young stud that walks by. And that's what she fucking looks like.
Yeah. She looks like she put the makeup on with a shotgun.
Yeah, she does. Like that goes to show you how fucking old she is. She can't even do her fucking makeup right.
really can't. He's really like
Fuck.
old as fuck. Also, when you click share, you got to click on um, add original post.
Oh, that's my problem then. Hold on, I gotta fix this shit. God damn. So, Facebook, fuck you. Jesus.
You know what? The thing is they change things so much that it just it makes you not want to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so share the news feed. Include original post. So fucking simple. God damn it.
I do not like how Facebook looks now.
I don't either.
It looks like Twitter, and I don't like that.
Facebook's got to try to get in on all that. We are the only social media. Like, it's not even showing up on my. Like, if I go to my profile, it's not even showing up there. So fucking stupid. Here it is. Fucking finally. Lord have mercy.
Lord Jesus, have mercy.
I got so many. I shared this so many times.
Bless these crackers, because they know not what they do. They're going to come on television and talk about what they're going to do for us. What are they going to do?
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, ultimately.
There we go. Okay, I think. Alright. And I'm going to make this public. Normally I just share it to only the people on my friend list, but I'm going to make it public.
Public.
That way anybody that goes to my profile will see that shit. Okay. Alright. We got 2 minutes till the debate starts. Where we at? Moments away for first Trump-Biden debate. Alright, yep, we're ready. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do... I'm getting ready to... I gotta go pee. Alright. Let's see if I can do this before they start talking.
You got 1 minute, bitch. Move it. Get on it.
Alright, looks like we're ready.
You wash your hands?
Yeah, I washed my hands.
Oh, shit.
Alright.
presidential debate, Donald Trump and Joe Biden face to face with Election Day just 35 days away and voting already underway by mail or in person in 30 states.
And the stage
Here we
is
go.
set. It's in Cleveland, Ohio tonight. The co-host, Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. The moderator is Fox News anchor Chris Wallace. And the stakes, well, they're high. The presidency and the future direction of the country on the line tonight, Lester.
The future direction of the country.
I really can't hear it that well on your stuff, but it's you got OBS recording it though, right?
Yeah.
We may need a little longer than an hour and a half, but the debate commission has set the rules, has
Let me
determined
make sure
by the
what we
way that
got.
the moderator is not responsible for fact-checking the candidates tonight. But
Yeah, it's coming up. There it is.
Alright.
just that.
Yeah, it just might be sounding weird on my end, so don't worry about it.
Alright.
During the debate, you can go to NBCnews.com. So let's get started. We'll go first to Chief White House correspondent Hallie Jackson, who is inside the
I'm
debate
gonna
hall.
get ready to
Hallie,
fuck
what do you
everybody
think
up.
from both camps? A couple of things about it. You have two very different candidates and two very different kinds of debate prep that has been happening. Sources close to
Fuck
President
everybody
Trump,
up for a
for
second.
example,
Okay.
say he's really been doing more informal Q&As with
Here we
his
go.
advisors.
Woo!
People familiar with his planning say the focus this week has gotten more intense as he has done issue by issue.
He has got more intense because Joe Biden's a dumb motherfucker.
I like that Flaherty mask he got on.
Makes you look right purty. Oh, you mean Hunter Biden? You know, the one that embezzled all that money
From Ukraine?
from
What?
Ukraine? With
No.
over millions of dollars?
The Democrats would never do something they accused Trump of.
Never. Hey, according to Joe Biden, he's going to beat Joe Biden in the election.
Oh, he might.
He just might defeat himself.
What? Okay.
Chuck
Hey,
Todd.
it's 9 o'clock. Like, where the fuck are these people? I wonder if they're like gonna be a last minute. Like Biden can't make it.
Biden forfeits. Point to Trump.
Biden gives up.
They didn't. The Democrats didn't want this to happen. Like they
No,
truly
they
did
really
not
did
want it
not.
to happen.
And Biden's
That's
like, I'm gonna debate Joe Biden.
nobody's gonna stop me. You're right. Nobody is.
Nobody is. And then Trump, I did see something where Trump was like, he wanted like a third party to check to make sure they didn't have any recording devices in their ears.
I don't see any issue with that. Do you?
No, neither. Trump obviously doesn't need it. Like, love him or hate him, he knows how to fucking talk to a crowd.
This is true.
Right.
Now, I'll admit this. He's not as good of a speaker as Obama was.
That is true.
That's one thing you have to give Obama. I didn't care much for the man, but
He knew how
the
to,
man could speak
yeah,
very well.
he knew how to talk.
He got the nerdiest dude on the planet as the.
I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between
This might be the last because
This might be the last.
if it goes the way that Pelosi thinks it's going to go, it will be the last.
Yeah. The next one will be Kamala Harris.
Now, she might beat Pence.
She might. Well, I meant like they put Kamala, whatever her name is,
Caramel.
against
That's what we
up against Trump, cause
they might stand a chance then.
yeah, cause like I mean she's a bitch, but I mean she knows how to talk to a crowd too. So
Right. She's very well spoken. I'll give her that.
yeah. So like
Pence, I have yet to hear Pence.
I've
4
not-
years, I've not heard
Yeah,
Pence
not heard
talk at all.
Pence do anything.
He's Trump's bitch. He's like, sit
I
down,
mean, really.
Pence. Sit down, Pence. I got this. China.
China.
China. Got it. China.
Now, if this goes well, we can stream because there's supposed to be 3. We can stream.
Right, we'll do all. Yeah, we'll do all 3.
All 3. Here we go. Hello, Mr. Trump.
Hey, what's up, bitches?
Look at Biden. He's like, hey.
What about me? Yeah.
And Trump, now he looked at Trump like they're old friends, and Trump's like, didn't you want to beat me up behind the barn?
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's
Fucking yeah, we have.
Let's see.
I'm
This
gonna go
is
pop some popcorn, man.
nominated.
now I've never been so excited. Like I never really listened to debates, but I've never been more excited for a presidential debate.
To consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you:
I don't understand how that's a fucking abuse of power.
I don't either.
Make the argument you make, and your opponent
Let's
won't.
find out.
Then, where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact,
She's the best.
Our biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time. Even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
It's his constitutional job.
Yeah.
To you, Vice President Biden, you have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for...
Come on, say something fucking stupid.
The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for United States senators and when they vote for...
No, they don't. That's they're appointed.
Yeah.
Get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is. Because that's the only way the American people get to express their view.
Not really. No.
No, it's so you can appoint somebody if you win.
Yeah.
What's at stake here is the president's made it
I want Trump to say that. No, it's not. It's just because you want to appoint somebody.
He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court, and the justice, and I have nothing. I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person.
I've heard nothing but bad things about Obamacare. So
She thinks that
Yeah.
the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing that's on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again,
Do you see him not shake his head like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
What do you mean? What?
pregnancy, we were able to exact procedure a man gets, and that ended when we in fact passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people.
I don't
What
think.
the hell does that got to do with what he just said?
I mean, I don't think that's a thing though either. You're not gonna. Why would you charge a woman more? That's not a thing. Why would they charge a woman more for the same medical procedure a man would get? That doesn't make sense.
Then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February. There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, She said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
during that period of time. During that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years. And 100 million people, Joe.
He's not elected until the election.
Right.
Like, even after the election, even if he loses.
Extinguish 180 million people with their private health care.
That's simply not true.
Well, you said we're going to socialist. We're going to socialist.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Look at Joe Biden. He's like, this motherfucker.
He knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any. And one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will.
You want to pay more?
What you said, and it's not what your party has said.
Oh, I love Trump. I love him, man.
Your party wants to go socialist medicine.
Party is
And
me.
socialist.
They're going to dominate you, Joe. You know that.
Yeah.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the Democratic Party.
You are not the Democratic Party right now. Nancy Pelosi is, you bitch.
Pretty much.
The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Over 7 million people have contracted.
I knew that was going to come
What
out.
does it mean for them?
That died on his watch. Like,
The Affordable Care Act.
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about.
And if you were here, it
Look, here's
wouldn't be
the deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw.
That's true.
it is true.
China, which was heavily infected.
He didn't.
All right, gentlemen, no.
He looked at Chris, just see that finger. He's like, "Wait a minute, Chris." He's like, "I ain't done. I'm not done with this motherfucker."
We are going to talk about COVID in the next segment. Go ahead. Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is all.
You don't know it's on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is it on the ballot? It's not on the ballot.
it's on the ballot in the
Something happening there. Love it, man.
What the fuck are you talking about, Joe?
Her view on Roe v. Wade.
I don't know.
Her view.
Well, all right. But a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time, so. Healthcare, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade. All right, Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well, I'll
I
give
got
you
rid of the individual
I'm going to
mandate.
give you an
Excuse me.
opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That
big
is not a
chunk of
comprehensive
That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the
I
worst part of
didn't ask-
Obamacare.
He did though.
That was the worst part of
It's
Obamacare.
true.
Well, I'll ask Joe.
I
The
know.
individual mandate was the most unpopular
Mr.
aspect of
Mr.
Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like
And we will
Mr.
protect people.
President, I'm the
with
moderator of this debate, and I would like you to let me ask my
He
question,
says
and then you can answer it.
Yeah, let me talk.
Of course, the Congress have never come up with a comprehensive plan.
Trump needs to rein that back in a little bit.
Yeah.
And just this last Thursday, you
This is how he always does it, so I don't know.
True.
To protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump healthcare plan?
You, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something. There's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against big pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it.
Oh shit!
So we're cutting health care. All of the things that we've done in Insulin. I give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth? So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
This is open discussion.
No,
Let me ask you,
this
you'll
is
be happy,
big stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
well, I ask you the question.
Trump's like, no, I want to talk. Biden's like, okay.
It does not. So poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare Medicaid would automatically be enrolled.
I wonder if he's on Medicaid.
The vast majority would still not be in that option. Number one. Joe, you agree with Bernie Sanders' far left on the manifesto we call it. That gives you socialized medicine. Look, here, are you saying you didn't agree?
Not by much, he says.
Not by much, so he didn't deny it.
Nope.
Pocahontas would have.
Yeah.
All he knows how to do is Tuesday. You got very lucky. Here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well.
With what?
And tonight I'm going to make sure because here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar. But I just want to make sure.
What?
Fucking love.
What did he lie about it, though?
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
I love him, man.
Love him or hate him, he knows how to argue.
He does.
Please let him speak, Mr.
Number two, you just lost the left. Number two, you just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
Folks,
Absolutely.
Folks, do you have any idea what this clown's doing?
Mr. Socialized medicine.
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he, in fact,
Who, Bernie?
has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away. No, I want to give number better health care at a much lower price because by the way, he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that. Fixed it. He has never offered.
Oh, God.
He has never done a single thing. But probably done.
Gentlemen, you realize that you're both speaking at the same time.
And it's still
let the president. Go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guaranteed pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual.
We gotta love that, man.
Yep.
This is the way it is. They shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people. Okay? I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive. Premiums are too high, and it doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand it, sir, but I have to give you.
God, man, I love it.
So funny.
He has no plan for health care. Please.
You don't either, you dumb motherfucker. It was Obama, not you.
Yeah.
It was over 10,000 pages long.
Since he got elected, he has none.
Fuck.
Everything else he talks about, he does not have.
What about all these things that are coming out about all the healthcare stuff that he has been doing?
Doesn't know what he's talking about.
He doesn't have a plan.
Final question for you, Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now.
He's not even answering the question.
Senators know how strongly you feel.
I want Trump to say, you're not answering the damn question.
Make
Yeah.
sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator.
He did it.
What? What did he say? I didn't hear him.
He said, "You're not even answering the question."
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Gentlemen,
He said exactly what you said you wanted him to say. It's so funny.
we have ended this segment. We're going to move on.
I know, right? Maybe.
It's so funny. He did it.
The people understand, Jeff. 47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject, so let's try to be serious about it. Cases of
Come on, guys. Shit. It's my first day on the job.
people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck.
He's
1,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no...
Oh, God, look at Trump. He's like, it's motherfucker.
He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that,
What did he do? Less than 2 weeks, he had travel ban to China, travel ban
Yeah.
to Europe.
and determined for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives. So if we would have listened to you...
You have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It's 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another...
That's fact.
That is fact.
You can look that up.
Yep.
He said President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that.
Yeah, you remember that briefing he done where he showed that huge long video and none of the reporters had anything to say?
Yep.
You wouldn't have made ventilators, and now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what they give you bad press on, it's just fake news. They give you good press, they give me bad press, because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never.
I got used to it. Fuck them.
You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job.
Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu.
Oh my god, it was great.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession. You made a point. Let him answer. And there was no one. We didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy that's he shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where
Motherfucker, it was y'all's idea to shut the fucking country down.
Yeah.
holding a phone up so you could in fact say goodbye?
You would have lost far more people.
And you would have been. And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't trust Johnson, Pfizer.
Questions about the future, because you both have touched on one of the
I get to watch it. Now, how can I watch that?
It's on YouTube. Jesus Christ. Interlude by the mother.
My mother's in the other room screaming at the TV.
Would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those are your two words. But Dr. Slawi, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing.
He's right. There's so much shit going
True.
on.
All of the people that you have to speak to, we have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call it left, I don't know what I
the
call it.
head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr.
I
Slawi?
disagree with him. No, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my...
This is great, man. Ah, what happened to the sound?
What happened?
I don't know, the sound went out there.
By the warm weather, it'd be gone.
Weird.
It's like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you can inject some bleach in your arm.
Wait, is it going out on the...
This is the same man.
sarcastic.
Yeah, we got some people watching. They're saying it is.
So here's the
Oh.
deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out. If we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will. Mr. Vice President, I want to pick
Does
up
it sound okay now?
I want to pick up on this.
Yes.
Okay.
You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear? No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists. But you're saying Senator Harris is saying you can't trust the scientists. Well, no, you can't trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust. She said the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Well, try to do, but there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not. They're the people. And by the way,
to the scientists that are in charge, they will have the vaccine very soon.
Do you believe for a moment?
They're on record saying they'll have the vaccine in
Yeah.
like 2 months or whatever because they're already in like clinical trials.
Yeah.
Still hasn't even acknowledged.
I like how
Knew this was happening. Knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February.
I like how Biden keeps looking at the camera and Trump's just staring Biden down.
Panicked, or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two. Because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker. Mr. President,
Did you use the word smart? You said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. The lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the
I
word
forgot the name of your college, and you calling me smart? What the fuck?
There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Joe. If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again. And it's going up fast.
Which is true.
True.
Look it up.
Okay. When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir? Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to provide
To
them
Nancy Pelosi.
What did he say?
Tell that to Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with the Senate. And he sits on his golf course. And, well, I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country. And I want to keep it open. And we did a great thing by shutting it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe. Just he wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd.
I want to move on to another subject. I want to move on to another subject.
But those states are not doing well that are shut down right now.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer, and in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks are
efficacy
okay.
of
You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on it, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money that
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
well, masks.
Sorry, I was asking you about masks. I love it, man.
Between now, if everybody wore masks and social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
No serious person said the opposite.
Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
I want to ask you, we got
He said
a
very
little bit more than a minute left in this
masks
segment.
are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said, "Masks good." I'm okay with masks.
I want to ask you both about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people outside. Yes, sir. Agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
Nobody will show up.
people.
Nobody shows up to it.
In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You goes first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you not
I've done a
worried
great
about
job
it
as a
spreading disease?
president, and I'll have 25,000, 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not worried about
we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issue,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
I love it. Joe does them. He has 3 people.
A reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,000, 40,000
All right,
people
you wanna-
at these rallies.
Just
Yes.
quickly finish up because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
Ben, he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. No.
Gentlemen, we move on to the economy. Yes. The economy is, I think it's
This is the greatest debate of all time.
from the shutdown. In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that
What the fuck does that mean? It's more like a Z.
President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening in some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina,
Yeah, Virginia's one of them.
Yep. Are under siege. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others. You got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back.
That's right. Whatever Nancy Pelosi says.
Mm-hmm. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis.
What the fuck does that got to do with anything?
Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's his. I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he is, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in a way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools.
And all you want to do is keep people at the house.
Yeah.
Safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get.
That's because of you, fucker.
Yeah, it's because of Pelosi and her little
goon squad.
Yeah.
Excuse me, he made a statement. People want their schools. No, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York. It's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town, and I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a fucking place. I want to be able to go to the fucking movies, and I can't.
Yeah.
I have been movie withdrawals. I just want one of them to look at the other and just say, fuck you. That's what I want.
That'd be funny.
Your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and I built.
Sir, I'm asking you a specific question, which is.
Let me tell you.
I understand all of that. I understand all of that. No, Mr. President, I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes?
He's told you, didn't he?
Yeah.
In 2017.
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So not 700.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We built a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired.
It's true.
President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to.
And what businessman isn't going to do whatever they can to pay less taxes? Every American in the country is going to do whatever they can to pay less taxes. So who cares?
He says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's
So does every other businessman in America.
And we're going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help.
And look at it. Well, I want Trump to say, well, at least my son didn't embezzle money.
Yeah.
You weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator, and
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just 7 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of your vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what the analysis done by Wall Street firms points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make
Okay, yeah, all right.
$100 billion here on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to
If you give tax credits to big companies and give them incentive to build factories in America, guess what they do? They reinvest in their own fucking company, which means they hire more people.
Yep.
corporate tax 28%.
But if you're going to tax them more,
If you're going to tax the fuck out of them, what are they going to do? That's when
when they
that
start
factory job, goes to Mexico or Canada or fucking overseas somewhere.
In fact, passed that. That was your tax proposal.
I got it done, and you know what happened?
You got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed.
The economy is
Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
not lower tax for American people.
Let me,
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't booming. It wasn't booming. It was the weakest recovery since 1929.
Is it fair to say he blew it when there was record low unemployment before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse me, Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris,
number three.
They said it would take. No, you were number two.
No.
A miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing. My standard fare.
I'm the guy that brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on manufacturing.
We brought back. I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're gone.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
They're not. And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. He talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit with Mexico.
Your lunch. That ain't 10%. China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, The mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do? $183,000.
None of that is true.
Oh, really?
But no, Mr. President, please.
Totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the
When?
way,
Well, wait, he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got
it is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President,
Really? Oh, okay.
I love Trump, man.
It's been totally discredited.
Did Burisma make $183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look,
President,
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he
and
did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And you're
The
correct.
media.
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our
Wrong.
by the World Bank, by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even
Mr.
the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me ask you this, Joe.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People under
He got $3.5 million from Moscow.
he testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like to know who
honorably.
they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the
I'll
people.
Go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't
Well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
Go ahead. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey, let me just say, Joe.
No. I'm Mr. President.
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply.
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family.
No, let him go.
My family.
Mr.
Every
President.
single one of them lost.
This is not about my family or his family. It's about your family. The American people. He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
All right, that's the end of the segment. We're moving on.
It didn't take that.
Vice President, no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
He stood up.
No,
He stood up.
the answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
Oh my god, I love it, man.
take doing it.
It's so fucking great.
It is great.
I hate to raise my voice, but it seems to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you? So here's the deal.
Fuck, man.
Why should I be different than the two of you?
In that segment, you each are going to have two uninterrupted moments. In those two interrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
Well, that's
than
all
you
right,
have.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
There's
than,
plenty.
no, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President.
Oh god, here it
Here
is.
it comes.
It's about equity.
This is the deciding factor question right here.
It's got to be.
Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president has ever said anything like that.
It is who's
Now,
sir.
second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military use tear gas on him so he could walk across.
That's not actually true.
No, he didn't do that, actually.
After that, the bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said he only
Now, at this point, Trump just needs to let him talk, because he's going to dig himself a hole.
Everything as a dog whistle to
Yeah.
to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year,
1 in 1,000?
Wow.
That's like nothing.
Yeah.
This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African American community.
So, President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with racism?
You did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that, because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals, total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up their hands and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats and in many cases radical left, and they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race.
Joe don't even know where he is.
Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide. You said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there's systemic injustice in this country.
False.
No, there's not.
In law enforcement.
If you commit a crime, you should go to jail for it or face the consequences.
The majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency.
That's why you want to defund the police, correct?
Cops
Yeah.
aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it, but we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
There's what the fuck are you even talking about, Sleepy Joe? What the fuck?
And kill people all over the place. You say peaceful protest. No, it's not, but you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue of race. I promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else. And he would know.
What is radical about racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's done that. He's racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important that people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson, you go to very many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now. But the reason is that the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order. And you still haven't mentioned. Are you in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow.
Are you in favor of law and order? Come on, say it.
You ask a question, let him finish.
Law and order. Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration. It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more in ours.
All right, we're down. Mr. President, you're going to Mr. President,
every record in the book.
Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because we're now going to talk about law and order.
Because we had trouble. We're Democratic-run cities.
That's exactly my question. There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200% crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone. And you would see problems like you've never seen.
Know a suburb unless you took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not. I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and races don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in
What?
What is he talking about?
Something about soccer practice and black, white, and Hispanics in the same car.
They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the
It's being burned down because of Antifa and Black Lives Matter, motherfucker.
Yeah.
In the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support? It means, let me, if I might finish the question, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter
We need RoboCop.
call
Mhm.
for
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Yep.
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact,
That's not what he said.
the only one defunding in his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use.
Because that's a good idea.
What the fuck are you talking about, Sleepy Joe?
like we had before.
That's what you need in a domestic violence incident when some dude beating the shit out of his wife at the club. A psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Tell me, is it because of your mother?
Mhm.
That's not what he's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support. He has no law enforcement
That's not
support.
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
not. Look,
Oh, right. Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go ahead. Think. We have time.
we don't have time to do
No,
anything.
Oh my god, that was so fucking great.
I think, gentlemen, I think I'm going to take back the moderator's role, and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent.
Oh, here's going to be the thing.
Especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the
She's not Nancy Pelosi.
or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and days.
That's a hard one.
Yep, yep. I want to.
Hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted. And anyone who commits it.
But you've never called for the people, the leader. Excuse me, sir. You have never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to call it, bring in the National Guard, and knock off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah, because they've done a great job at that.
Hit the killer of a young man in the middle of the street and they shot him. And for 3 days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said.
She said that. And so here's the point. The point is that that's what he is, keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down.
I think Joe
Instead
just
of
fucked
going
himself.
in and talking to people and saying,
Yep.
let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly at every single solitary
Okay,
time.
and to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly
I
criticized.
have to answer his
No,
statement.
you have
His statement?
repeatedly.
Wait,
You have
just one
repeatedly. No,
second.
you've been talking
He
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
sir.
I would love to end it.
If you want to switch seats, we
would
could
very quickly.
We can do that, but I'm
Send in the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared to
to do that,
specifically
but
do it?
I
Go
would
ahead.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right
So
wing.
what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
You want to call them What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
What
right
would you like me to condemn?
Proud Boys.
Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Bull fucking shit,
No, it's an
Sleepy Joe.
organization.
FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
That is your head. That's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
Why are they trying to cut him off when he's saying that?
Ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, "Don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative." And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess. And we now got a
Yeah, the VA is garbage.
Yeah.
at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets.
People going
Built our military.
fucking 8-10 months trying to get a scan of some kind when they could just go to the fucking hospital and get it done, but they can't because they're under the VA,
Yeah.
and they turn them away. So it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Justices. That is a record the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges, because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good president, you can't be a good vice president. But I want to thank you, because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term. 300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Under this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent.
No, I don't think that's true.
We inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession. With regard to being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got $3.5 million.
And by the way,
Mr.
Uh-oh.
President, wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
he never keeps his word.
No, I'm not asking. That was a rhetorical question.
Can you
go ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yes, you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided,
And it's been proven it's Democrat leaders pushing for that
Yeah.
riots and shit.
talk about the military, where you talk about them being
Of course, it's more violent on his watch to make him look bad.
suckers.
Right.
My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. Really? And I resent.
You talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking
I'm
about
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking
I don't know.
about.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It wasn't
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until he became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow, and various other places.
That's fucking true.
That is true.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it.
Biden is campaigning.
He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him. But why was proud of my son?
Yeah, and Trump's actually trying to debate.
Trump is debating. Biden is campaigning. That's why he keeps looking at the camera.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial subjects. Well, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a judgment call here.
$3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow.
That is not true. That report is totally miscredited. Mitt Romney
God, fuck, man.
I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires.
What is that?
So would I.
They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. We're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very exciting.
Do you believe that human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of the planet?
I think a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. But I also think we have to do better management of our forests. Every year, I get the call, California's burning. If that was cleaned, if you had forest management, good forest management.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
In Europe, they live their forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country. It's a forest city. He said, sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it.
Or they got people lighting fires, too. There's that.
Yeah.
At some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground. That's burning down because of a lack of management.
Sir, if you believe in the science of climate change, why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in power plants? Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars?
Well, not really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car, and you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much cheaper by $3,500.
California, they simply
No, but it would take a lot of cars off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me. Many people. The car has gotten so expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline. And I'm okay with electric cars too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what
That's true.
Yep.
It's just crazy.
Vice President Biden, I'd like you to respond to the president's climate change record, but I also want to ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels.
I don't even know what fracking is. It sounds dirty.
It's a way to mine oil.
Oh,
The
okay.
president says a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000.
That sounds like a horrible idea.
And all of the highways that we're going to be building in the future. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035. Not only not costing people jobs,
You're not Apple.
paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage by having a new infrastructure that in fact is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about something
Because America was paying for everything.
Yeah.
With foreign policy. Brazil, the rainforests of Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is absorbed in that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's emitted in the United States. Instead of doing something about that, I would be gathering up and making sure we had the countries of the world coming up with $20 billion. Say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down the forest. And if you're doing
What?
What?
Economic consequences.
Where's that money going to come from?
President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line. Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you
What?
don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is a guy who says that
That's not what you just said.
the fact that it's all true. And here's the
Talking
deal.
about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about
Where they want to rip down buildings and rebuild the building. It's the dumbest, most ridiculous. Where two-car systems are out, where they want to take out the cows too. That's not true either, right? This is a $100 trillion. That's more money than our country could make in 100 years if we
Not
went by
the case. All right, let me because I actually wait a minute, sir. I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy efficient homes. So the question becomes, the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good paying jobs.
How?
Finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that. fact is, it's going to create millions of good-paying jobs, and these tax incentives to people for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes. By the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that.
That's what he did say.
He made it up.
And here's the deal: we are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now, on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happening just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. They didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. But the rest of the world, we got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not my plan.
That's
the Green
New
Deal
is
not my plan.
All right,
You asked anything about it. If he
He made a statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
What
not
he
true.
did is
You're done in this segment.
he called
Mr.
the military
Vice President.
stupid bastards.
There it was.
Yeah.
Stupid bastards. He said it.
Stop.
I would never
I
say
would
that.
Play it.
Military.
Play it.
Go ahead. Mr. Vice President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all those ranting.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental change.
This is the final question, he said, right?
Yeah.
Pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
But you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support?
No, I don't support the Green New
You
Deal.
don't? Oh, well, that's a
Wait, isn't that what he just said?
That's what he just fucking said.
I support the Biden plan that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the
It's different because I changed the name.
Election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early. How confident should we be that this will be a fair election, and what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks, because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day. What are you prepared to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be the legitimate winner of this election in this final segment? Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com, decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of.
That's actually not true.
That's not true.
They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because they're not poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and their polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether
Why would he do? Why would he stop anybody? You're the fucking guys wanting to fuck with the election.
if I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that will be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change? Or get 4 more years of these lies?
Mr. President, 2 minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
I've had 2 in the mail.
Have you?
I have.
I haven't checked my mail lately.
The election, and I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud. And
It's a fact.
That is a fact.
Where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th. November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that.
Sir,
All run by
2 minutes is
Democrats.
2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. It's
President Trump,
it's a rigged election.
you're going to be able to continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so. Because what's happening is incredible. I read today, where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them, we don't like them.
But what
They
are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about it?
left
There
and
are
right.
millions of ballots going out
What
right
you
now.
do
What
is
are
you
you
go
going
and
to do?
vote. You do a solicited ballot,
No,
and that's okay,
I know
or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people
You go and
have
vote. You go and vote.
But
Like
what I'm saying is, what
like
are you
they
going to do
used
about
to
the
in
fact
the
that
old.
millions of
You
people?
either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia.
I don't understand what their issue with this is. Why can't they go in with a can of disinfectant after every person
Yeah.
that votes, clean everything up, and then send the next person in? That's what they're going to fucking do.
Yeah.
Leave the polls open for an extra hour for stuff like that, or have them open an hour early, and then go from there.
Yeah.
2 Republican states, and you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you. It's sent to your home. What they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by the time, by election day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
No, I want to continue with you on this.
love that.
Vice President Biden.
Chris, he's so wrong when he makes a statement
No,
like that.
excuse me. Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that
That's exactly why they don't want it.
Yeah.
here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, when you have 80 million ballots,
I have a final
Senate
question.
and swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already
All right.
there's been
So now,
fraud.
gentlemen, in 8 states, we can keep talking. In 8 states, election workers are prohibited, currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until election day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
could be months,
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest, and will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what, from a common sense, I'll tell you what it means. It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two, they cheat. They cheat. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. They were military. They all had the name Trump on them.
Vice President
you think
Biden,
that's good?
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm?
No, you won't.
And will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes. Here's the deal. They count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until election day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's
thousands opposed to millions.
Yeah.
Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all.
Well, he just explained why it's fraudulent. They found like however many in Philadelphia with Trump on it in a creek bed or whatever.
Right.
That happened. It's true.
You had an opportunity to respond. Go ahead.
They have no idea what
Vice
happened.
President Biden, go ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome, and I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to see an honest ballot count.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there. To be continued as in more debates as we go on. President Trump, Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. Thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The 2 vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch.
Ooh, we gotta watch that one.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Okay, so we'll mute that out now.
Yeah, I did it. Let me get that.
Okay, so what do you think?
I don't know.
Who won?
Out of that, I don't really know if either one won in that one. However, I do think that Trump had a lot of good points, and Biden was just campaigning. That's what I think.
I can agree with that. I agree. I feel like that's what he was doing. He was campaigning. He wasn't
He wasn't debating,
debating.
and because like he kept looking at the camera, and Trump kept looking at the moderator and Biden. Like Trump wasn't campaigning. He's already been campaigning. Trump was actually trying to debate.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And I don't know if any. I mean, if we want to call a winner, I'd have to say it was Trump. If anybody's like fully paying attention to what's happening there,
Right.
mostly because Biden wasn't debating.
Okay, it's true. I don't think we're going to be able to post this on Podbean because the debate wasn't coming through very well.
Oh, I got you. Well, what we'll
So
do is once we get done here, we'll download it and we're gonna upload it to our YouTube channel. So
right. We'll start posting a little more on there also.
yeah,
But no, I fully I get
If there had to be a winner, I'll be honest, Trump.
yeah,
Won that. And it was a simple fact that Trump was the only one debating. The other one, I mean,
yeah.
Biden was campaigning. He wasn't debating.
Yeah, like I don't think as I really think like uh Biden didn't know what the hell was going on a lot of the time.
A lot of out of there
Yeah,
comments that he made.
and I mean Trump. I mean, if I that was me in a debate, Trump was really just trying to respond to the shit Biden was saying, which I understand it's supposed to be like a controlled debate thing. I get it. And really the moderator should have he should have more control, which I get it. It's Trump and Biden. You're not going to get that much control. But like there was some things that Biden said that really was not true. It's been proven. It's came out. Like it's already been proven the stuff he was disputing. And a lot of the things that Trump was saying has been proven. Like so Biden was just like the only the only thing Biden was doing when Trump would say something is just saying he's wrong. He's lying about that. He's wrong.
Right.
And Trump was like, "Well, look. Go look. Go look it up." So yeah. That's
yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll do this.
Hold on, let me find out who they think won. Just a second.
Are they talking about who they think won? I'm not going to listen to NBC who NBC thinks won. We know who NBC thinks won.
The news places are saying that neither one of them won, that it was a complete and total shit show. They're not claiming nobody won.
I mean, kinda.
I mean, you're not lying.
They're not entirely wrong on that.
Right, I'm gonna drop out Craig here. Okay, Craig's gone. But no, really, man, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Everybody's like nobody fucking won this thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll get this uploaded to YouTube, and join us next time.
Yep. I guess we'll do this again next Wednesday.
Yeah. Kamala and Pence. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think Kamala's gonna eat him alive. I'll just be honest.
I think she will.
I really do. I mean, I like the Trump train, but That
Yeah.
caboose is going to get its ass fucked.
Yeah. I don't think Pence is not Trump, so.
He's not.
But all right.
It's the first time I've actually ever heard him. Would actually ever hear him. So
Yeah, so we'll find out. All right,
All right.
but we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.